Okay, let me just pick up where I left off. So, after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Like, my main aspiration was to get married and have a family. I have always wanted to get married and have a family since I was a kid. Like, I wanted what my parents had. And I ended up just hurt over and over again. I don't think I ever dated anybody that wanted to marry me. They just wanted to have sex with me. And that's all it ever was. And praise God, I'm not with any of my ex-boyfriends. And I hate it that they're not saved. Like, I want to see them in heaven, but I just have to accept it, you know, and hope that maybe I can show them the light. Like, maybe they can realize that God is real and God is love and Jesus died for them and whatnot. But, so after high school, I got my first job at Arby's, and I tried to go to community college. I went to Gadsden State, and I only went for one semester, and then I was just done. I couldn't do it. So I went to Arby's. I worked at Arby's, and I had an interview at IHOP, and they hired me. So I told them at Arby's that I was leaving, that I got another job, and they were just like, okay. And I was like, yeah, okay, thank you. And so I went to IHOP, and I trained for a day. I think the first day I was late by like a couple minutes, and then the next day I was good and I had training. And the third day I was late by a minute, and I went in to the manager's office, and she said, oh, you don't work here anymore. And so that was it with IHOP. It was just like 2 days. And after that, I was pretty messed up over it. And when I was in Arby's, though, they asked me what one of my life goals is, and I said to go to cosmetology school because I had this hairstylist named Amanda Green, and I looked up to her, and I wanted to be like her because she was so good, and she was so cool. She had like tattoos, and I just wanted to be like her. And so my parents get me to go to Beauty Enterprise. That's what it was. It's Martin Academy now, but it was Beauty Enterprise when I went. And I was a bit of a problem student. I had a hard time with everything. It was honestly awesome that I actually finished and I got my certificate, and I actually almost dropped out because I was seeing this guy named Drew. And this is around the time I started to wonder if Satan was real, because he had on his back, he had satanic carvings in his back. Like, it was terrible. And he posted it, and I was like, oh, he's just being edgy. It's not real. He's just trying to be cool. Like, he's hardcore. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a guy that was bad, but I wanted him to be good to me. And all I ever got with was guys that did drugs and were abusive. He was abusive. He was the only guy that actually abused me physically. I've been emotionally and mentally abused by guys too. But, yeah, so Drew wrecked my car, and it was in Childersburg, I think, or Sylacauga. And my dad had to come and get me. And this is when I was working at Long John Silver's too. I was working at Long John Silver's and going to cosmetology school at the same time. And Drew was a dumpster fire. He was a Satanist, and when he wrecked my car, he was playing this God-hating music, and he was screaming with it, and it was me, him, and this other guy. I can't remember his name. I think it's Dakota. But we were going to get more drugs, and he wrecked my car. He went straight into a curb and just jacked it up. Like, it was not drivable. And my dad had to tow it, and he had to get me, and he yelled at me, and there was nothing I could do. I was just like, wow, this is terrible. And, yeah, so I ended up being done with Drew. I witnessed a guy shooting up while driving, shooting up heroin, I mean. And me and Drew did cocaine together. And I did Molly one time. And when I was on the Molly, I remember feeling the music, like in the car. I could just feel it, and it was crazy. And I wanted to have sex, and we never did, but we did sleep together. Every guy that I was involved with, we slept together. So, but that was, I thought that was what was going to get them to marry me. Like, all the guys that I was with, they all took advantage of me. I was just this sad, lonely, depressed, miserable girl, young woman. And all along, I was just missing Jesus. But anyway, so after I got my license, well, after I graduated cosmetology school, before I got my license, I met someone named Clay, and he was another guy that broke my heart, but I met him at this bar. I was with my friend Christina, and we just kept looking at each other, like, from across the room, and he came over and introduced himself, and we talked a little bit, and we ended up having sex, and he ended up breaking my heart. And I can't remember the first time I did Duster, but I got Duster and I was hoping to die because I heard that it could kill you. And I was huffing compressed air, or like the computer cleaner Duster, hoping to die. Like, I didn't want to live. I was so broken, and I was very suicidal before coming to Christ. But yeah, so I told him, and he tried to get me back later, but I wouldn't go back with him, and I wouldn't go back. But, so after Clay, Cody happened. And Cody, to me, was a friend, but we ended up getting closer. And I told him about Drew and Clay, and Cody was like the worst of my life. The breakup was the worst. Like, when we were together, it wasn't good, and we got into arguments, and I would catch him talking to other girls, and when we broke up, it was terrible. I ended up going to jail for domestic violence, because I hit him and scratched him, and at the time I had acrylic nails, and they left marks on him, and he had marks on him, so the police were called, and they came and got me, and yeah, I went to jail for like a day, and I called my mom and got her to bail me out, and I was just devastated. I was so devastated after me and Cody broke up. I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't really suicidal, but I did cut myself when I was with Dom. Dom was after Cody. And Dom is like the regret of my life, like the biggest regret, because I wasn't over Cody. And I was just so broken. He tried to love me, and I think he actually did want to marry me, but we never like really got to that. But I ended up cheating on Cody with Clay, and then I ended up cheating on Dom with Cody. It was like back to back, and man, I hate that I hurt some people too. Like, I hate the things that I said and did to my ex-boyfriends and my old friends. I'm just so sorry. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm so sorry for the person I used to be before Jesus. But anyway, so, yeah, I went to jail. My mom got me out, and I ended up shaving my head into a mohawk. And I was just a complete train wreck. I was a potty mouth. I cussed a lot. I like to drink. I like to get drunk. Not drink. Get drunk. Like, wasted drunk. And I would smoke weed with my friends. Like, that's what we would do. That was our thing. Like, my old friends were potheads and alcoholics and drug addicts and everything. And I'm really thankful. God never let me get addicted to anything. The only thing that I have is coffee. Like, I've never been addicted to cigarettes, and I used to smoke. And I've never been addicted to marijuana. It was just an occasional thing. And, yeah, like, God just never let me get addicted to anything besides coffee. And where was I? After Cody. So the judge said that I had to get anger management classes, but he said that Celebrate Recovery was fine. So I was going to Celebrate Recovery with Dom, and we got an apartment together, and he got me a kitten, and I named her Millie, and she was my baby for like 7 years. And he got me the kitten, and the day that we got the apartment, I wrecked my car. Somebody pulls out in front of me, and I hit them head on. Not head on, but I don't know how to explain it. I hit them, and my car was totaled, and I had like no money, and I just lost my job. Cody called corporate when I was working at Master Cuts, and he got me fired. And I forgive him and everything. I'm over all of that, but it was really bad. Just when I was with Dom, it was like the worst part of my life. And I was like screaming in the bed one time while Dom was working, and I took a razor and I cut my arm right here. And when he came home, he went into the bathroom and he found bloody tissue, and he brought it out to me, and I still remember the look on his face. He was just done. But he stayed. He stayed, and I can't remember how he broke up, but we lost the apartment. We got evicted because we both didn't have jobs. He got laid off, and I had to go back to my parents' house. So I came back home, and well, I can't really remember. I got fired from Master Cuts, and I went to a private salon while I was with Dom, and I left there. I got my mom to go and get my stuff. I couldn't even go in and get it. I couldn't face them because I felt like a failure. And I can't remember what I did next after Master Cuts and the private salon. But I ended up going to Great Clips, and I was with a guy named Clint, and he was just, man, I thought I loved him. I thought I loved my exes, but I didn't know what love was. God is love. Without God, there is no love. It's lust, it's obsession, it's infatuation. That's all I had. I was obsessive. I had my heart broken more times than I can count. And it's because I expected so much from the people that I was with. I expected that we would get married and have a family. And it wasn't ever the case. And that's still all I really want. I want to be a wife, and I want to be a mother someday. But yeah, so after Dom and Cody, I left out the shoplifting thing. I used to be a thief. I used to steal from stores, and I would steal the Sims games and play them. And other games too, like Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell. I can't remember what else, but yeah, I was a thief, and I went to jail. I got caught at Walmart, and they were going to let me go, but because of my mouth, I was popping off, and they put me in jail, and my mom had to come get me, and I never stole again after that. After I went to jail for stealing, I never did it again. Still have it. I mean, I wouldn't now, especially because it's a sin. But yeah. So anyway, after me and Clint broke up, I overdosed on Benadryl, and I huffed air duster, and I got my mom to take me to the hospital, and I was so messed up. I can't really remember it, but I remember the little thing that you put on your finger that checks your blood, something like your oxygen level or whatever. The thing that you put on your finger, I kept taking it off, and there was this girl that was watching me, and she was getting so annoyed with me. Like, she was like, stop. Put it back on. I can kind of remember, barely. But, I could talk about my tattoos, too. I don't really want to talk about them too much, but that says Crybaby, and that's from Lil Peep. It says, life's not out to get you, neck deep. And then this one, not broke, just bent, the story so far. Flashlight, front bottoms. All wrong, the story so far too. And then this was just for looks. I just thought it was cute. And I used to want to be a tattoo model. Like, I wanted to be covered in tattoos, but God had other plans. But yeah, so I have some on my legs too, but I don't really want to show my legs. And I have one on my hip. That was my last one. Aaron Prater did it, one of my ex-boyfriends from 8th grade. He did it for free. And it was when I was working at Skin Deep. I was working at Skin Deep on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, and at Subway during the week. And that's when I met Clint Reed. I had 2 Clints. And Clint lived in Georgia. He lived in a town called Talmo in Georgia with his mom. And he would come and see me. And we met at a concert for Tiny Moving Parts in Atlanta. And I met him and his friend Matthew. And I crowd surfed for the first time. And he got me a shirt and their CD. And I thought it was awesome. I thought, like, man, this is the best. I'm having the time of my life. And I had no idea that Clint was going to be, like, it for me. Like, the last heartbreak before coming to Christ. The last just disaster of my life. And, so when I was with Clint, I was starting to think that God could be real because, okay, when I was with Tristan, I realized that Satan could be real because he would talk about the Illuminati and stuff and aliens and everything. And because I watched videos on like Bohemian Grove and what else? I think that was mostly it. It was like Bohemian Grove and like Illuminati type stuff. And my mom used to be like really obsessed with Illuminati stuff. Like she would watch videos on YouTube on the TV. And I was just like, oh, that's not real. It's not real. But with Tristan, I started to think maybe Satan is real. And because I believe that Satan could be real, then God had to be real too. You can't just have Satan and no God. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, so I just want to leave out the Tristan stuff. Tristan was the worst boyfriend I had. He cheated on me. I caught him in bed with his ex-girlfriend, and I beat her. And I threatened to kill her, and man, it was bad. He abused me emotionally and mentally. He would gaslight me. He would say I couldn't have any guy friends, and it was just terrible. But I was trying to move on, and that's when I got this all wrong tattoo right here. I was trying to say that it was dead to me. That's why it's a casket. And All Wrong is a song by The Story So Far. It says, you said I got it all wrong, but I'm sure everything we did before doesn't really matter anymore. So I got the coffin saying like, okay, you said I got it all wrong, but it's dead to me. Like, I was trying so hard to move on from Tristan. But when I was with Clint, I actually contacted Tristan, and I got worse. Like, I wasn't getting better, and I thought my life was going to get better because Clint came in and he was like, oh, I'm going to give you such a better life. Like, you can do it. I believe in you. And he was always like supportive, and he was really sweet to me, and he treated me like really good, but we weren't going to church together like we said we would. We weren't reading the Bible. And when I worked at Subway, that's when I got my first King James Version Bible, study Bible. This man named Paul, he's a truck driver. He gave me the Bible with my name on it, and I didn't read it. But I was like, okay, like I was warming up to God. And there was this customer that said, has anyone ever told you lately that Jesus loves you? And I was just like, oh, thank you. And it softened my heart a little bit. It like was the beginning, really, of finding Jesus, was him saying that, and Paul getting me the Bible. And I was watching testimony videos on YouTube, and the one that I watched that really started for me was J. Brett Prince's testimony, because he was like a Satanist and a tattoo artist, and I watched it and I was crying, and I never finished it, but recently I finished it actually. But my ex was like, well, if it's making you cry, don't watch it. And I was like, but I need to. But I never finished it, and so I decided that my life wasn't working out. It wasn't getting better. I was at the end of my rope. I was completely hopeless. And I came back to Oxford. I came back to the house with all my stuff and Millie. And I tried to get back with Clint, and he wasn't having it. And he told me when I was starting suicide and stuff, like I cut myself, and I wanted to die because I was hopeless. Because I put everything into this. Like, I was like, okay, my job, my career is over. I worked at Vinici. It was like my dream job. Vinici Salon in the Mall of Georgia. They shut down. But, because of COVID. But, yeah, I was hopeless, and I was like, okay, I want to die. So I huffed a lot of air duster, and I passed out, and I threw up in my sleep. Like, I wanted to die that way. I wanted to throw up and die, like choke on my vomit and die. But I ended up rolling over and throwing up on my bed and on the floor. And I started to get this feeling inside like I made a big mistake, and I thought I was going to die because my heart was freaking out, and I was just terrified because I thought I was going to die and go to hell. Because this is, mind you, when I was starting to think that God could be real and Satan could be real. So, because of that, I was like, I'm going to go to hell if I die. And I had this Facebook friend named Blake, and I called him and I said, hey, I'm scared. I made a mistake. I don't want to go to hell and all this stuff. Like, I kind of want to stop again.